Howdy gamers and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about how the gaming industry is stagnant with its current trends and that the next big gaming trend should be good old-fashioned dungeon crawling. A staple of the gaming landscape has always been dungeon crawling. It's a genre that's been around for decades, influencing countless games and developers along the way. From the early days of Baldur's Gate and Diablo to modern titles like Darkest Dungeon and Skyrim, dungeon crawling has always had a special place in the hearts of gamers. The current trend in gaming is all about live service and battle royales, but let's be real, it's getting stale. We've seen the same formula reused and rehashed time and time again with minimal innovation and the focus on milking microtransactions. Furthermore, on microtransactions, they have created a sense of disconnection among players, who are often forced to participate in grindy activities or shell out cash to access premium content. This ends up shifting the focus away from the core gaming experience and towards a business model, ultimately detracting from the simple joy of playing games. The lack of innovation and the focus on profit over passion have led to a sense of fatigue among gamers, who are desperately searching for something that reignites their passion for gaming. The problem is, modern gamers have become accustomed to a certain level of polish and production value. I'm guilty of this myself, but some gamers expect AAA graphics, engaging narratives, and original fresh content. The industry is desperate for a shakeup, and I think dungeon crawling might just be the answer. The genre's focus on exploration, strategy, and progression could be a breath of fresh air in the gaming landscape dominated by instant gratification and loot boxes. The question is, can dungeon crawling deliver on these expectations? I think it can, but it needs to evolve and adapt to the changing landscape of gaming. We need to see more games taking risks, innovating, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the genre. The indie scene has been doing just that, with games like Slay the Spire and Curse of the Dead Gods leading the charge. These games have taken the core principles of dungeon crawling and added their own twists, creating a unique and refreshing experience. Slay the Spire's blend of roguelike elements and deck building mechanics has become a huge hit with gamers and critics alike singing its praises, with myself having 107 hours into it. Curse of the Dead Gods, on the other hand, navigates deadly temples, battling enemies with a mix of melee, range, and magical weapons while avoiding traps. The gameplay focuses on managing light and darkness, choosing between greed-driven risk and survival, while also dealing with curses that alter mechanics. A game that captures the true essence of a classic dungeon crawling experience is an indie game called Dark and Darker. Imagine the thrill of venturing into the unknown with your friends, each step deeper into a dark, perilous dungeon teeming with secrets, enemies, and unimaginable loot. Dark and Darker taps into that core fantasy and delivers a gaming experience that's both exhilarating and addictively rewarding. By combining dungeon crawling with a high-stakes thrill of loot extraction, it creates a gameplay loop that keeps you on edge and always coming back for more. At its heart, Dark and Darker is about venturing into dungeons as a group, each member playing a vital role in survival. You might be the tank holding the line against waves of enemies, the rogue getting those critical backstabs, or the mage annihilating foes with devastating spells. Shared responsibility and collaboration create an immersive experience that's unlike many modern multiplayer games. It's not just about winning, it's about how you win together or, well, die together. One of the most exciting mechanics in Dark and Darker is its layered dungeon design. The deeper you go, the tougher the enemies become, but the loot improves exponentially. This setup creates a thrilling loop of risk versus reward. You can choose to extract early with decent loot, or press on facing increasingly difficult odds for a shot at legendary gear. Successfully escaping from deeper layers feel like a monumental achievement, while failure adds a bitter reminder to game stakes. It's a system that rewards not just skill, but also calculated risk. Once you extract to secure your loot, the desire to return and push further grows. The progression is super addictive. You extract good loot now, not just for immediate gains, but to prepare for future runs even deeper, deadlier layers of the dungeon. This design ensures players feel a constant sense of growth and mastery, making every run meaningful and engaging. Every successful run offers a promise of better loot to bolster your strength for the next venture. But there's a catch. If you die, you lose everything you've earned in that run and whatever you have currently equipped. This balance between risk and reward transforms each dungeon crawl into a heart-pounding experience. My only gripe with the game, though it's also part of what makes it exciting, is the inclusion of PvP. To be fair, this isn't a bad mechanic. It just isn't ideal for my friends and I, since we're not exactly PvP pros. Or in other words, we just suck. That's basically the sole reason why we pay to have our own private server in Ark. Alright, let's get back on track now. Why should dungeon crawling be the next big gaming trend? Unlike many recent games that are focused on battle passes or competitive play where only the most skilled players thrive, dungeon crawlers offer a more inclusive and enjoyable experience. They emphasize strategy, teamwork, and consequence without requiring hundreds of hours of practice. The fun is simple and accessible, making everyone feel involved and satisfied, whether they're seasoned gamers or casual players. It's a genre that balances challenge and camaraderie perfectly. Its core mechanic of strategically navigating perilous environments with a team feels like it's capturing the magic of tabletop RPGs, with real-time action and stakes that keep players on edge. This style of gameplay isn't just fun, it has the potential to reshape the gaming community. And when it comes to crafting a great dungeon crawler, certain gameplay mechanics are essential to creating an engaging and memorable experience. These core elements not only set the foundation, but they also enhance the replayability, teamwork, and thrill of every run. So let's dive into the mechanics that should be the gold standard for any dungeon crawler, ensuring that the perfect blend of challenge, strategy, and fun are there. Drawing inspiration from Dungeons and Dragons, there should be a wide array of classes to choose from, each with unique abilities and roles. Regardless if you prefer being a tanky warrior, a stealthy rogue, or a powerful mage, the variety of classes will encourage creative team comps and replayability. To keep things fresh and exciting, the dungeons should be procedurally generated. Each run will feel like a new adventure, with deeper layers introducing distinct biomes, each populated by unique traps, monsters, and loot. For example, you might start in a crumbling crypt and eventually descend into a molten underworld, teeming with fire elementals and lava pits. The deeper you go, the greater the challenge, but most importantly, the greater the rewards. There needs to be an extraction system to add that thrilling risk versus reward dynamic. Players can choose to lead with their loot early, securing what they've earned, or risk going deeper for potentially legendary treasure. This mechanic will keep every decision tense and meaningful, amplifying the adrenaline rush for each run. A critical mechanic is the option to play with friends to amplify the fun. Dungeon crawling is just inherently more rewarding when shared with others. The pure enjoyment of planning strategies, covering each other in tough situations, and celebrating victories together creates unforgettable moments that solo play just can't replicate. Additionally, to make the game more approachable, PvP will be optional. This allows players to focus on mastering their own skills and working together with their team without the frustration of being outmatched by other players. Everyone would have a fair shot at progressing deeper into the dungeons without the fear of being ambushed by human opponents. If I had the skills or the resources of a major gaming studio, I would create the ultimate dungeon crawling experience. My vision would focus on introducing innovative gameplay elements designed to elevate the genre, creating a game that not only stands out but becomes a benchmark for what a dungeon crawler can be. I would include a leveling system tied directly to your character's survival. Each time you successfully extract, you retain the abilities and skills you've earned. If you die, however, those upgrades are lost, forcing you to start fresh. The leveling process wouldn't be overly punishing though. It would be quick enough to regain progress but still feel like a setback. This adds an extra layer of tension and stakes, making every dungeon run feel meaningful and rewarding. To make treasure hunting more engaging, I'd include a gear upgrading mechanic. Players could use their hard-earned loot to enhance their favorite weapons and armor, making them more powerful. This system creates a deeper emotional connection to your gear while also making the risk of death sting even more. Losing your upgraded gear would feel like a significant loss, but it would also encourage you to carefully consider your strategies and weigh risk versus rewards before venturing too deep. One of the most significant differences would be adding more unpredictability. My game would feature floor bosses that appeared inconsistently. Imagine descending to a deeper level, bracing yourself for a massive challenge, only to find that the boss isn't there this time. Alternatively, you might encounter a boss when least expected, forcing you to think on your feet and use up more resources. This mechanic would add a dynamic layer of excitement and relief, keeping players on edge as they push further into the dungeon. Overall, I'm not just looking for more dungeon crawlers. I'm yearning for games that truly capture the joy of playing with friends, and dungeon crawling at its core is the perfect genre for this. It's accessible, straightforward, and doesn't require a competitive edge to succeed. Its simple loop of exploring, looting, surviving is a universal formula for fun, and when paired with friends, every moment becomes more memorable, whether it's an incredible victory or a laugh-out-loud failure. What makes games like Dark and Darker stand out isn't just the gameplay itself, but the shared experiences it fosters. The thrill of strategizing together, the collective panic when enemies ambush, and the jubilation making out alive with all the loot creates moments worth remembering. Even when you lose everything and return with nothing, those failures are often the stories you retell the most. It's an unpredictable mix of success and chaos that keeps players coming back. I hope developers take inspiration from this formula, not necessarily to create more dungeon crawlers, but to embrace a spirit of cooperative gameplay that celebrates connection over competition. Dungeon crawling serves as a fantastic canvas for this, with its mix of discovery, risk, and teamwork, and I'd love to see it evolve into the next big trend. That's the kind of gaming experience we need more of. And if you're not currently in the mood to go play games with friends, then you should go check out these videos that will help you find your next solo narrative masterpiece. And as always, if you got any value out of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support means a lot and it helps me grow the channel. Thank you for watching. Until next time, game on.